What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com, bringing you a free show today. I usually do these Q&A shows twice monthly, every other week. But on those weeks where the on week lands at the end of the month, we've already done two, I like to kind of give people who aren't subscribers a look at what we do over at FightfulSelect.com. If you're watching this, you probably already know about Fightful.com. We have tons of access across pro wrestling, boxing, MMA, exclusive interviews. We're breaking news all the time. We do a lot of fun, different content ideas. We're very progressive wrestling, MMA, and boxing website, and we have ways you can divide all three if you don't like one of them. But we also have FightfulSelect.com. That is the most direct way to support Fightful.com. That way you're not clicking on an ad. You don't have to do anything else. You go there, you subscribe, you directly support Fightful.com. And it's not without reward. Dare I say we have one of the most robust wrestling Patreons ever. I'll go ahead and point you out at the Future Star tier, our initial tier. There are really two or three main ones, but this show is essentially a way to let you all know about that service. You get a Patreon-exclusive Fightful bumper sticker. You get Patreon-only text and video posts. A lot of times I'm posting little news bits that will go in the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. They go there. We do a monthly retro review show. Myself and usually Mr. Warren Hayes do a review of an old show. This has become my favorite thing to do on the site, and I think when we hit a subscriber goal, if I can find the time to carve out, I would like to add another one to that, but we do at least one of those a month. You get exclusive access to the Fightful photo gallery, a lot of images, logos we never used. I may tweet out some of those. You get twice monthly Fightful outtake and behind-the-scenes footage, filmings I did with J.J. Dillon, Anna Bauer, Jeff Hawkins, Alex, Jimmy, DDP, Vince Russo even. I'm going to release an entire podcast I did with Dafari and Mr. Kennedy one time that ended up being an entire blooper. We do a weekly show on the weekends called The Weekender. We review Being the Elite, Lucha Underground, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, all that stuff. NWA content, we review that too. So all that stuff, maybe you wonder, man, you know what? I like that Raw podcast. I like that Smackdown podcast. I like the post-pay-per-views. But I want reviews of everything else. We review virtually everything on FightfulSelect.com across two weekly shows. The Weekender that I just mentioned, where I also drop some exclusive news every weekend and update the injury report. But Warren Hayes has the 205 Live NXT UK review as well. He'll review any of the WWE content from midweek every week right after that block happens. So that's another live post show. Every other week, we do a thing called Dark Match Commentary, where I've gotten access to dark matches from TNA, WWE, WWF, and I apply commentary over there, maybe let you all know some things that you don't know. Every month, there is alternate fight commentary, where I find a video online of, say, John Jones's debut fight, and I lay commentary over that as well. We do monthly back in the day clips, where you can see Fightful personalities before they were at Fightful. Also, we do UFC rankings updates every single week. We have a show called If It Were a Work, If It Were a Shoot. This really plays into the crossover of Fightful.com, because I look at WWE cards and I tell you who would win given the rule set if it were a shoot, and I look at MMA cards and I tell you who that company would want to win if it were a work. All this and access to our members-only podcasts and any additional podcasts we do. That's just the first tier. You're talking like a price of a sody pop a week, my friends. One tier up. It's called the Contender tier. It's not much more. Maybe a 2-liter of sody pop a week. And you get access to everything I just mentioned, plus Jimmy Van's book, which he will eventually add to, a paper mask, which I hate. You can choose a shout-out on a podcast of your choosing. You get early access to things like the Fightful boxing rankings, making a finisher, Wikipedia fact check, lots of the interviews, lots of the features, early access to the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. You get the Stupid People Extended segment weekly. So maybe you like that Stupid People segment on Listen, You Boy. That's a way you can get a little bit more every week. You get access to Jimmy Van's Match Archive, where me and Jimmy lay down commentary over matches that he promoted back in 2000, 2001. Also, twice monthly, Russo Reveals clips, where you get to hear Vince Russo speak about topics from his wrestling history, his wrestling past, his thoughts on wrestlers. A good time. It's always good chemistry with me and Vince Russo. You can also submit questions for interviews that might be used. And if you stay on for 6 months, you get a Fightful shirt. You go up one, the more high roller tier, the champion tier, you get all that stuff, all the stuff in the original tier. You can guest star on a podcast, or you can select a topic for a podcast or article or retro review or alternate commentary. Or you can save them up 2 months and appear on a podcast of your choosing in that regard. You also get one sponsorship month or spot per month on an episode of your choosing. I mean, we have lots of options for you guys over there. So please support FightfulSelect.com. It is the easiest way to support your boys at Fightful. But right now, we got a ton of questions. I do this Q&A show every other week. And I don't just answer some of the questions. I'm not like, hey, just submit 3 or 4. I encourage you guys to submit as many as you want. And I will be answering the ones in the live chat as well. I'll start off with one in the chat. Ole Sammy Ole. So this deal with Crown Jewel, I thought women could not work in that country due to religious laws. What is Renee going to do? I don't know. I've asked WWE. They only confirmed that she was going to go there. Dean is over there as well. So how they handle that will be interesting. I thought for sure they would do it in a virtual studio. That's not the way that it's going. Sean, can you tell me what you think about Haku? Very nice guy, actually. Had some talented kids. That's for damn sure. Tough guy. Sean, do you think with Daniel Bryan not working Crown Jewel, it's going to affect his position in the company at all, or is he bulletproof like Cena? I think he's bulletproof to a degree. If they let him go, he will go somewhere else. He will make a lot of money. He will be a game changer, and they don't want to risk that. What can we expect from SRS versus Melissa? You can expect explosions. I told you. We will do moves that are banned by WWE. You can expect the fight to take place in a dirty street fight looking room. We will have cardboard weapons. We will did I promise explosions already? Because there are going to be explosions. Listen, your boy, number 100. Is Cody Rhodes a genius by saying publicly he isn't going to WWE? As now, if WWE wants the Elite, they'll have to make a bigger offer than they may have first thought. I have some insight on this, but nothing I can reveal at this moment. Yeah, WWE's going to have to pay out a lot of money. And a lot of people think, well, the difference is could and would. They could offer any amount they wanted. They could offer the amount that they're paying Shawn Michaels to each one of them per year and probably do well. But will they? I don't know. Also, if you're running 1, 2 all-in events per year, we don't know the financials behind that. Here's the way that I look at it. The first all-in was really built as Cody and the Bucks doing it all themselves, not with companies and sponsors, even though they did have some. They had a few. Now that goodwill has already been built. Fans, I don't think, would hate them for accepting more corporate sponsors. If it turns into one long infomercial like the Cracker Barrel spot, then yeah, people would probably have a problem with that. But I don't think that them accepting money from big companies to throw their name on an apron or put up a graphic somewhere, fans are going to look down at that. That stuff is important, man. I've helped run some shows, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without corporate sponsors, without a Dairy Queen up the road saying, yeah, just put our logo up. Okay. They're going to have that to alleviate a lot of the costs, which maybe they do already. I don't know the financials behind All In. Not going to pretend to. No, there was a ton of people at StarCast. No, there's a ton of people on this Jericho cruise. No, there was a ton of people, 10,000 people at All In. Since we're a few days out for Evolution, what could WWE have done to better the card, including booking and missing names. They could have done Bayley and Sasha Banks against Trish and Lita. They couldn't have known that the Alexa Bliss situation was going to end up the way that it did, but they could have done Bayley versus Sasha Banks in a very friendly match. Or you could have added 3 other legends. You could have added 3 of the women from the Battle Royal. You could have added a Molly Holly and a couple more, and then added the Riot Squad to the heel team and made it like 5-on-5. I think there are several things you could have done. From a Charlotte-Becky perspective, I think it was perfect. I think the heat that Becky had was perfect. What Charlotte had was perfect. Everything worked really well. Sean, how'd you like Matt Riddle's debut? Loved it, man. Matt's a buddy. I want him to do well. Interested to see his reaction. First time I give a negative review to his match, because I don't have to review a lot of his matches. He'll probably just call me trash and move on, but I really liked it. I like that he's using the bro mission. When Triple H takes over WWE, what will his stance be on other companies? Will he attempt to destroy them, control their growth by working with them? I think the latter. I think he understands how important other companies are to growth. And they're not going to dry up the talent pool. It's never going to happen. As long as there's money to be made in wrestling, there will be talented people who want to do it. And as long as there are talented and creative people, there will be talent out there for other people to grab. There's some guys they signed and I'm like, what are they doing with them? Why do they need Bobby Roode? They didn't need Bobby Roode. Did they need Gunner? I mean, maybe he's got some national TV exposure. He can help out in that regard. They didn't need him. There's a lot of people that they didn't need at all. So I think he's going to be more inclined to work with people, give people looks. How many wrestlers are going to regret doing or going along with this Saudi propaganda? Did you talk to anyone going that didn't think this stuff was going to happen? They cool or blissfully unaware? So it's worth noting, I did talk to several wrestlers about the Saudi Arabia deal, many of which who went over for Greatest Royal Rumble. They said it was a mess to deal with, said it was a nightmare to experience, just navigating the area. But none of those people are going now. And there's a lot being made of that. They don't want to do that stuff, but they realize they kind of have to. They got to put on the smiley face. But there are some wrestlers that are completely absent-minded as it relates to politics, don't care, don't give a shit. They don't know who Jamal Khashoggi is, and they may never. They kind of know that there's some heat, but didn't speak to anybody that's going over there yet, though. I will when they get back. What will Renee be wearing at Crown Jewel? That's a good question. Hopefully what she wears every single week. If the rumors of women's tag team titles are true, who do you think will be the first champions in Raw and SmackDown, and who do you think want to be the first ones? I think that it should be Tamina and Nia Jax the way they're laying it out, because you want Sasha and Bayley to chase, and if you want a couple of people for them to chase, and that I think Bayley and Sasha can bump a lot for Tamina and Nia Jax, and I think that should be the title. When Nia Jax says, I get a title shot of my choosing, well, I want a women's tag team title shot. That's because she's already been women's champion. You really want to go back to Rousey, Nia Jax? I don't have any interest in that. Right after they're doing Rousey versus Becky? Come on. Why can't both Raw and SmackDown be good at the same time in the same week? It always seems to be one or the other. It really does. How would you write Daniel Bryan off of Crown Jewel? Personally, I'd go with an AJ heel turn and the club taking him out. I feel AJ has done it all as a babyface, and he's more entertaining as a heel. With club, plus make Daniel Bryan the underdog babyface he is organically. I think the way they did it was fine, but he does need to be with the club. He has had a year-long run at the top. He needs something new now. You need something different now. I really want a men's trios tournament and women's tag team division to get some of these super talented guys and girls in meaningful feuds, and in some case on TV. Why should they do this and why won't they? They might do it. That's the thing. They might do it. They're very open to anything at this point. I've talked to people in WWE about a trios tournament, and the wrestlers think it'd be cool, but it's not anything that's got some groundswell of promotion or groundswell of support. It's just an idea floated around. Not pitched or anything like that, but it would be great. They would wait until Roman's back so they could have the Shield in that trios tournament. How could WWE make the Cruiserweight division and show mean something like NXT or the New Japan Junior division? Put it over more on Raw. If there's an unbelievable match on 205 Live, you show highlights of it on Raw, and you say, you have to see this. You can't miss this. They're already making a good step by putting it on before SmackDown or by taping it before SmackDown where you've got a hot crowd. You also need names. You need a Rey Mysterio over there. They try to do this with ECW, and it doesn't always work, the WWE version of ECW. There might not be a way. It might just be the people who are watching 205 Live are going to watch 205 Live, and there's nothing wrong with that. You need personalities, you need great personalities, great in-ring, and great buzz. And if you can't get great buzz, it's going to be tough. Who would you book for the Universal, Raw Women's, WWE, and SmackDown titles at WrestleMania 35? Looks like Rollins and Ambrose will be chasing the Intercontinental title through Mania. If they're doing Rollins-Ambrose right now, I don't want to see it in 4 months at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman, it depends on if they're dead set on making him a heel. If they're dead set on making Braun Strowman a heel, then maybe Seth Rollins. Raw Women's title, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte probably for that title. Becky Lynch defending against anybody as long as she's as hot as she is right now. Yeah. The SmackDown men's title, I think AJ Styles might hang on to it. And you got to have somebody big. I wouldn't mind seeing Andrade Cien Almas winning the Royal Rumble and challenging him, but that ain't going to main event by any stretch of the imagination. So it's tough. It's tough for me to book that right now, and kind of a lot of questions in one. So the only one who thought Becky versus Charlotte in a TLC match would be awesome in December when Charlotte brought the ladder into the ring at Evolution. I did too, but they're a little harder for women to work. Which member of the BTE crew is most likely to jump to WWE if the rest don't? Who's most likely to break rank and cash that money, in your opinion? I think Marty Scurll personally, and that's without any signs. It's just his girlfriend works there. He does live in Florida. He does have a contract that's up at a different time than everybody else. With WWE wanting to sign game changers, aside from the Young Bucks, Cody and Kenny Omega, who would you consider to fit the bill? Does anyone out there move the needle enough for them to be attractive to WWE? There are a couple that, it depends on how they feel about Jay Lethal on any given week. When I look at that roster, Tenille eventually, if she could stay healthy, would be one who they gave up. Ironically, they gave her up. The Briscoes, but they have a pretty checkered past. I see them as being pillars of ROH a little bit more than anything else. Dalton Castle is somebody, but he's been a champion and didn't change the game. So is he? That's hard to say. Jeff Cobb is one that I see getting signed. Have you heard any rumblings regarding Impact and the new TV deal, either with Pop or someone else? They seem to push their digital content as well as ever, but they seem to be languishing when it comes to TV. I have some info regarding the digital stuff. Impact Wrestling reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be whitelisted. That way I could use some of their footage on stuff like making a finisher. So I can tell you that my upcoming Christopher Daniels, which I'm announcing here on this podcast, my upcoming Christopher Daniels making a finisher will have TNA footage, Impact footage, as will the Abyss version. And some of those, I think my Jay White one will probably have a little Alex Shelley footage in it. They're playing it off as if the overnights aren't a big deal. They are a big deal. It's important to them because that affects the amount of money they get per ad. So it is a big deal. They are languishing when it comes to TV. They should be shopping and trying to get another TV deal too. One that pays them anything. My God. And a share. Paige Van Zandt discussed with James Lynch how she'd be open to a WWE run in the future. What do you think the likelihood that they would be interested, and how well do you think she would adapt to the demands and skill sets of pro wrestling compared to Ronda and Shayna? I think she could adapt well. I think she would probably be a little fragile. She gets hurt a lot. She cares more about marketing than she does about fighting and wrestling. She called WWE wrestlers divas, so she obviously hasn't watched much lately. However, she is an extremely talented athlete. She was an extremely talented dancer. So I think she could adapt to pro wrestling pretty well. Will there be a female WG match on NXT TO? I don't know what WG means. Hit me with an explanation of that. Who would be your men's teams at Survivor Series? Well, if I were WWE, I would have passed up the champion versus champion deal. Man, that's you got to have somebody lose. Rollins should beat Nakamura. But if you're talking Team Raw, Team SmackDown, probably throwing Lashley on there. Bray Wyatt, a returning Bray Wyatt would make sense, kind of. If you're talking big names, and I mean big names. Kurt Angle, he's probably... I don't think it's Raw versus... It might be Raw versus SmackDown, because you might end up doing Team Angle versus Team Corbin. If you do Team Angle versus Team Corbin, that changes everything. Like, the Revival might be involved. If it's Raw versus SmackDown, you're probably rocking Angle, Wyatt, Ziggler, Elias, Bobby Lashley, people like that. So it really depends. If you're Team SmackDown, Orton, Mysterio, the pretty much the Crown Jewel World Cup winners. I think they should go the Angle versus Corbin route, though, and get many more people on the card. Matanza versus Abyss would be a great all-in match. That would be a fun one. If Drake Maverick had to manage a single-star long AOP, who would you pick? My immediate thought would be EC3, given their previous work and ability to bounce off each other, but I'm not sure how well he fits alongside AOP and their characters. Maybe somebody that they want to break out of sanity, whether it be Wolf or Killian Dane. They're not even on TV, man. Not even on TV. Lars Sullivan comes to mind. He needs somebody to talk for him. What happens to Chase Owens and Takahashi now that the Elite is separate from Bullet Club, as they were both notable exclusions from the Elite? They should have kept Chase with the Tongans, in my opinion. I could see them turning. I really do. Why not? I mean, why not? Who's going to care if you don't, if you do that? Even though I don't feel like the Bucks and company are leaving for WWE, it does very much feel like New Japan is preparing for it. They've dropped the titles, they've lost repeatedly to Firing Squad, and haven't been heavily featured on New Japan as much. New Japan management knows something we don't. At times, it felt like they're being written off. Well, Kenny's still got the title, and I mean he's going to be set through the Tokyo Dome regardless. But whenever you have people whose contracts are coming up and you can't get a guarantee out of them, then yeah, you're going to do that. Ring of Honor has Hangman Page beating Scorpio Sky, and I know they think a lot of Scorpio Sky. So I don't know if Ring of Honor certainly doesn't seem to think so. New Japan, their new regime is trying to set themselves up to not get screwed, though. Will there be a female Wargames match at NXT TakeOver? No, I don't think so. I don't. But they could. You got the horsewomen, and you could throw three. You could throw a Bianca Belair in there with Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. Ooh! That's a good one. And then any other 3 members, maybe a Nikki Cross, Dakota Kai, and somebody else, that'd be fun. But you don't want to do a women's and a men's one. Maybe next year do an all women's one. That would make sense to me. Get the chance to write a movie for WWE as a road trip buddy comedy. Who do you pick for the main stars? Let's say 4, and the antagonist. Fandango. Fandango is one of the most hilarious dudes in wrestling. Heath Slater, because he doesn't realize that he's so hilarious sometimes. Daniel Bryan, because he's a troll bully that a lot of people also don't understand. Go back and watch that Table for 3 with Ziggler and Ryback. And then you have to have a really big, huge dude physically for Daniel Bryan to play off of. But man, Becky is also hilarious. So I'm going to say Titus O'Neil is the straight guy, the big, like the guy who isn't that funny. But man, Mojo Rawley. See, Mojo Rawley's probably the best actor on the WWE roster right now. He's a good one. He's a good one. But man, Jessamine Duke's pretty funny too. Yeah, got to go with those 4. Am I crazy for thinking Io versus Kyrie might be the WrestleMania NXT TakeOver main event? I don't think it will be. If it is, it's going to be a big time match. I mean, they're already going long on NXT TakeOvers as it is. You got to see how everything's going to hash out after Royal Rumble and Survivor Series. They just call people up to call them up now with no real story or anything. They got people on these rosters. Eventually, they're going to be running like 6 live shows a weekend. It's possible. Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't know if they'll go there. I think a lot will be told if they do these WWE women's tag titles. So if they do the women's tag titles, then I think that Io and Kyrie end up tagging together. Let's say Elias does actually become WWE's top babyface by WrestleMania season. Do you still try to attempt some sort of storyline between him and The Rock, or is that ship sailed? Yeah, I do. I have them both in the ring doing a sing-along. I have a heel team come out, and I have them kick this team's ass or run a tag match where Elias is working underneath, impromptu. Rock comes in, spine buster, rock bottom, people's elbow, win. They celebrate together. The Rock endorses a guy that the fans actually want. Doesn't have to do a whole lot. Oh, man, I get chills thinking about it. That's a good spot. Is Chavo Guerrero a WWE Hall of Famer? 100% he is. And you have to ask, what is a WWE Hall of Famer? Well, Coco Beware is a WWE Hall of Famer, but let's be real. We've understood at this point that just your WWE career doesn't factor into your WWE Hall of Fame run. And Coco Beware as Stagger Lee, you know, he was very good as Stagger Lee. He's done a lot of different things. He wasn't a big, like, as far as accomplishment guy, that being Coco. But I mean, in CWA, I mean, my God, he was tag team champion like 7 times with Eaton, Lane, Mantell, everybody. He was Mid-America heavyweight champion 6 times. He was he was a good piece of that regional scene. Chavo has been on the global and national scene for 2 decades. He's still contributing backstage for Lucha Underground. And when you look at his accomplishments in the ring, at least as far as accolades, they're beyond a lot of people. 2-time cruiserweight champion in WCW, 4 times in WWE. He was an ECW champion, 2-time tag champion with Eddie, tag champion in WCW. He's done a lot of it. He was 2-time tag champion in TNA as well. Held a title in Lucha Underground. Won the Lucha Libre World Cup in AAA. I'm reading straight off his Wikipedia page right now, but hell yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Who are the most overrated and most underrated wrestlers today? When you mean underrated, people that get no love, Rowan got no love. He was constantly improving, getting better. always working to do new things in the ring. I think Aiden English is very, very underrated. Overrated? Personally, I always thought Balor was, but then again, he turns on the heat sometimes and he becomes just fantastic when putting like a story together. Dana Brooks improving a lot as well. I think Sonya Deville is incredibly underrated. She doesn't get any love. EC3, I think he's underrated for what a lot of people compare him to Rude. I think he's way better than Rude. Way better than Rude. A couple of the guys, Silas Young, underrated. Don't see a lot of stuff out there about him. Jonathan Gresham is one of the best workers, period. He's great. Hi there, I'm late. How about Matt Riddle NXT TV debut last night? Start the show over. I answered that at the beginning. Good stuff, though. You think Samoa Joe walks away with the title tomorrow? I don't. We made our predictions. They are on our YouTube page. Go check them out. If Shayna comes up, does she comes up as Steph's proxy to go after Ronda, or does she come in as Becky's Drew Galloway? Neither. She'll be a four-horsewoman. Woman. What do you think of WWE maybe putting house shows on the network like they were testing a few weekends ago? Should they do it? We talked about this on Wednesday's List and Your Boy podcast. They're doing this because they are more of a content company than a live event company. So they figure we film everything anyway. Let's try to do it from a cost-effective manner and put it on the network. And maybe that will draw people because people, if they think something's going to be on the network, it feels more special and it feels like you got to go see it more as well. So they can kill two birds with one stone there. I think it's a good idea. I'm going to Starrcade later this month, and I think they're doing it with that. I think. Don't quote me on that. Have you seen the last of Trish and or Lita, not counting Women's Royal Rumble, but before that, anything for WrestleMania 35? No, I don't think so. I do think we eventually see them against Trish and Bayley. They do want that match. They being Trish and Bayley. Or not Trish and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley, rather. TLC Women's Tag Team Title TLC match. God, I wish. That would be a fantastic way to introduce those titles. Not with Tamina and Nia, as I said, though. Could the first ever WrestleMania main event or Women's WrestleMania main event match be a horsewoman versus horsewoman, or more likely a one-on-one match against Ronda? Yes. Ronda probably will be involved. Becky versus Ronda would have been a good one with Becky winning. But I think it'll probably be Ronda versus Charlotte. The four horsewomen in a four-way should get that spot as well. What finishing move are you trying to hit Melissa with? Well, my finisher when I wrestled is the Impaler, but I think it'd be kind of dangerous. She doesn't know how to take that move. Luke Harper should have had a singles title run. He did. He was Intercontinental Champion. Why do fans hate Yoshihashi? His hair sucks. Would they actually make those house shows worth watching as opposed to just having them all be matches you see on Raw without commercials? Okay, so, well, here's the thing. Starrcade 2017. Let's look at what that was. You had Bobby Roode against Dolph Ziggler with Arn Anderson as an outside enforcer. He did a spine buster. You had a 12-man tag where you got a bunch of people on the show. Bludgeons, Kanellis, the Colognes, Rusev, Fandango, Breeze, Dillinger, Sin Cara, Ascension, not missing anything there. Naomi defeating Tamina, not missing anything there. But you had Dustin Rhodes instead of Goldust defeating Dash Wilder. That's something cool you're not going to see everywhere. Nakamura and defeated Corbin by DQ for the U.S. title match. You can see that on a house show. Charlotte versus Natalya in a cage match for the women's title. Can't see that everywhere else. Styles versus Mahal, steel cage for the title match. That's kind of special. Usos, New Day. Fatal four-way for the tag title match. I bet that was a slapper. But let's look at the card this year. Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, street fight for the Intercontinental title. People are going to want to see that. Styles versus Joe. They've done it a million times. It's in a cage. Okay. I want to see it. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair in a cage. SmackDown Women's Championship. People are going to want to watch that. Nakamura and Rey. They just did it, but for the U.S. title, whatever. Maybe it switches hands there. New Day versus Bar, seen it a million times. Handicap match, Braun versus Drew and Dolph. I don't think you need to do a handicap match. I think if you showed like maybe an hour of it, that would make a lot more sense. Is Kevin Dunn gone when Triple H takes over and replaced with Borash? The first part, yes. The second part, we'll see. How about no women's tag belts at all since WWE screws up everything nowadays? That's stupid. No offense. That is a stupid statement saying that the excuse for the lack of creative is just not getting creative anymore. That's just ridiculous. That line of thinking will never leave room for improvement. So if you're one of those people that says, oh, they're just going to ruin this person anyway. I'm not, man. Fightful, probably not the show to watch. I'd like to keep an open mind. Once they ruin something, will surely criticize that as it appropriately should, but got to give everybody a chance to be creative. What's a good first feud on the main roster for Velveteen Dream? I would have said Goldust if he was around, and then he beats Goldust and kind of takes that torch. Baron Corbin, maybe the most serious guy you could find. Bray Wyatt looks to be coming back with two people, and one will be Harper. I don't know. Looks to be. Nothing. There was nothing that's been indicated on TV about that. Nothing. Ziggler for the Dream. No, you have everybody. Dolph Ziggler can't become like what Ty Dillinger did on the NXT thing. Can we make the match with you versus Melissa hair versus hair match? No, unless she's losing her hair. Bottom line, I'm not cutting my hair until I donate it. Why shouldn't I invest my children's savings on Melissa winning the fight? As you know, she is already heavily favored in Vegas. Because I'm going to whip her ass at Listen to You Boy 100. How long before Renee gets involved in Seth versus Dean? Hopefully never. Hopefully never. What are the odds that Roman Reigns comes back for WrestleMania? I don't know anything about the timetable for leukemia. I can't pretend that I do. Did you get to see Hardy Halloween? And if you did or did not, is this where they are going with Matt for now, or will it be a mixed batch of him also be involved with creative? He wants to be involved with creative. He always has, dating back to when the Broken thing started. I haven't watched it yet. I am going to watch it. I'll probably review it on the Weekender. Fightfulselect.com. Simon asked to go along with John's question, if they do continue with these, wouldn't being the elite on the network make two excellent non-in-ring network contents? Yeah, but they'll have their thumb on it. And being the elite cannot have somebody's thumb on it. See what they did with Zack Ryder when he got over and they had their thumb on that? They ruined it, man. It wasn't good. And then they killed it. A reminder, guys, I do these shows twice a month, FightfulSelect.com, Retro Review Podcast every month. Every week, the Fightful Select Wrestling Weekender podcast, I review NWA content, Impact, Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, Being the Elite. I give an injury report update. Also, I unleash exclusives that are in the Fightful Wrestling Weekly. We do the NXT 205 Live UK weekly live post-show podcast. We have dark match commentary. Just go over to FightfulSelect.com. This show is a free show I'm giving you guys to preview this service. I answer every question you all submit on these Q&As. So definitely check out FightfulSelect.com, the easiest, most direct way to support Fightful.com. We're trying to do the things the right way, paying our writers the right way, getting the right kind of content. So FightfulSelect.com, there is something for everybody there. Costs as much as a soda pop a week. Are any of your matches online to watch? I think maybe one. I don't want people like seeking out that. I wrestle because I enjoy wrestling. I wrestle to know more about what I'm doing here. So that way when I review a show for you guys, you're not talking to people and there's nothing wrong with people who don't, but I like to have been in there and done it, and I like to experience it. When I wrestle, when I get paid, it's donated immediately. This is my day job, not pro wrestling. Also, I don't want to take money from a promotion, whether it be big or small, because I think that is a conflict of journalistic ethics. If I'm working for a wrestling company and they pay me, they may expect favorable coverage. If I get paid, it's immediately donated to a cause or something like that. I wrestle a few times a year, maybe, but sometimes under a hood too. But yeah, there's maybe one where I gassed out in 30 seconds and my wrestling coach had to carry me through the rest of the match. What is your favorite feud in all of wrestling and specifically WWE? Specifically WWE, I love the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho feud, but right now it's Charlotte Becky. How does it feel to take a regular back bump? I always get mixed answers. Didn't bother me a bit. When I did my wrestling training, I did catch wrestling training and MMA training before I did pro wrestling training. So back falls, side falls, front rolls on zebra mats on top of concrete were the standard. And zebra mats are pretty solid. Then we would do them in the boxing ring. And we would work matches, super illegally, mind you, in a boxing ring or open houses as an attraction to get people in and point at them and say, hey, we were able to make this transition easy because of MMA and catch wrestling training. Give it a shot. So I took a lot of my bumps on boxing rings, on zebra mats first. So by the time I got into a regular plywood wrestling ring and then a lumber wrestling ring, it was fine for me. Has Jimmy ever stepped into a ring? He has stepped into a ring. Yes. I don't know if he's wrestled. What is your favorite WrestleMania match of all time? Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, the first one. Do you agree the women's division is too top-heavy and won't evolve till they start building mid-card with real programs? I don't think it's top-heavy from a talent perspective. I think that it's top-heavy from a booking perspective. That's it. I think they've got plenty of talent there. If and when Jack Swagger returns to WWE, where do you see his character going? Main event, mid-carder, or sadly a gender spot? Probably one-offs. One-offs to get We the People reactions. He's doing real good in Lucha Underground right now. He's over. Who will Roman's absence impact most on the roster, not counting Braun or Brock and excluding Seth or Dean? Elias. You saw how it happened immediately. Immediately, they had to get a lot of people over because, horrible what happened to Roman Reigns, but they sacrificed the quality, creative, and integrity of a whole lot of characters to try to get him cheers that he wasn't going to get. Who do you think wins the World Cup? Mysterio. Do you ever see Vince Russo doing anything for WWE? Maybe not job-related, but a guest spot, table for three. Yeah, WWE Network content. He'll do it if they come call him. How long before Chyna makes it in the Hall of Fame? And if she does, who inducts her? Probably a member of DX, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, maybe Vicky. It makes sense for Vicky because of Eddie. Any chance that Joe wins it at Crown Jewel? Or is it more Joe taking one for the team? I think he's taking one for the team, but anything's possible. They could switch it right back at Starrcade. Make that seem like it matters. Oh, I didn't answer the Hardy thing. Yeah, I think they'll keep doing these with Hardy. He's got some back issues, as he pointed out. But do you know if there are any non-WWE wrestlers who are on WWE's radar? Yeah, I mean, hell, I think I had reported about half of them that just got signed. But yeah, gosh, where's my news thing? I reported a while back. I have to see the fellow's name out of the Monster Factory that got signed or was planning on getting signed. By the way, Robbie E., a lot of people thought he got signed because of the picture he posted. That was just a tryout photo. That wasn't like, oh, I'm getting signed, so here's my picture type of deal. That was just him posting a picture amidst all the other words. Wait for him to get buzz. They had their eye on a lot of people at the Monster Factory. I know Nick Comoroto is about to get signed. Pretty sure. Big boy. Big boy. You take a look at him. Oh, boy. Shades of Brody. Will NXT UK lead to an influx of British stars on the main roster? Or do you think it'll continue to be limited? Most of these guys are small and aren't necessarily. If you mean 205 Live, then I think, yeah. But I think it'll pretty much stay the way it will be, or the way it has been. Were you surprised the Browns and Cavs pulled the trigger on the firings of Hugh Jackson and Tyronn Lue so soon? If there was one, which of the two surprised you most? Hugh Jackson, no. I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I just figured they embraced a losing culture. Tyronn Lue, I'm not surprised at all because Dan Gilbert, man, chaos. They screwed themselves out of LeBron James. Speaking of gender, all the 3MB guys, as crazy as it sounds, have also had borderline Hall of Fame careers, or have I just lost my mind? You haven't lost your mind because of the low threshold of WWE Hall of Famers. Almost every WWE champion is going to get in there. And they'll say that gender led to growth in India. You know Drew McIntyre is going to have a career that leads to it. Meanwhile, Heath Slater is the only member of Nexus who has never left the roster. Never left the roster. He's still there. Is a former 4-time tag team champion. He might get in there if he just hangs on. He might. I don't know. My honest opinion about Coach Marvin Lewis. I am a Bengals fan. I forgave it. I forgave it until I forgave all the playoff losses because he brought a winning culture to Cincinnati. For better or for worse, he brought a winning culture to Cincinnati. When I had my fill was the game in which the Bengals pissed away against the Steelers in the postseason. That's when I thought he should have been fired. You cannot, if you can't keep your team under control, no. You see Rick Pitino returning to the NBA as a coach? No, he's done coaching. He popped one off in an Applebee's booth in like 30 seconds, and he's going to coach in the NBA again. Hell nah, man. He's 66 years old. He's made that money. He's out. Get out. Hope you don't get arrested or whatever the hell happens with this NCAA fallout. Will we ever get Sasha versus Bayley? Yeah, at SummerSlam 2025. Didn't Chelsea Green have a tryout too? I mean, she signed. She's on the roster. She's wrestling now. She's there. But we reported, I think, in February on Fightful, or not Fightful Select, the Fightful Wrestling Weekly, that WWE had their eyes on her. Is there any chance NXT do something with other companies like Evolve? They are right now. The tag champions are the Street Profits, and the Evolve champion is Fabian Eichner. So they are right now. What comes after Dean versus Seth, and does it involve the Universal title for either? So here's the thing, man. Seth, babyface. Elias, babyface. Is Braun a babyface? Because he should be. He got on the heel side right now. The heel side of Raw. Brock's going away soon. Kurt's a babyface. Kurt Angle for when he comes back. Shawn Michaels is a babyface right now. Is Drew a heel? Because I don't think so, man. Not against Braun, but Braun's getting babyface reactions. So maybe Braun can be a heel. And Seth Rollins can be the babyface. It's hard to tell, man. It's really hard to tell. Either Rollins or Ambrose will be factored into that, I would imagine. It'd be hard for me to imagine they wouldn't be. Do you see any changes coming to wrestling in 2019 and beyond, and who to look for in that time as well? Jordan Grace is one that I would look for. Britt Baker is one that I would look for. Kiera Hogan is one I would look for, at least on the women's side. On the men's side, it's just all watching what the Elite's going to do. Who's the better SRS? SRS? JV with the SRS mask? Me. You should be ashamed of yourself, John Baez. Which is the bigger crime by WWE? Their current blood money with Saudi Arabia, or allowing Carlos Colon to compete in the 93 Royal Rumble match? I'd say the Saudi Arabia thing. Carlos Coro or Carlos Colon. I almost implicated Carlos Toro. My gosh. Carlos Colon knew, but I don't think he did it. Who has WWE dropped the ball with the most on 205 Live, their entire tag team division? Sasha versus Bayley, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, Rude, Nakamura, Asuka, or somebody else. Sasha versus Bayley, I think. Tag team division 2 is up there because you can make the tag team division a draw. Will Brock versus DC be DC's last fight? I heard he was retiring. He says he's retiring. But if he gets all that money, man, if you just offer him more and more money, hard to say. I think it'll be Brock's last fight, to be honest with you. Now that the Jericho Cruise has happened, do you think WWE is going to have one of their own? No. I think they're done. SRS, I've been watching YouTube podcasters for a long time. You have to give a dime to any of them, but I swear I feel like digging into the piggy bank to support. Hey, you're not just supporting me. You're supporting Carlos Toro. You're supporting Alex Palowski. You're supporting Trina. You're supporting all these people who are going to work with and for Fightful.com. We try to bring you a diverse group of people. And while Fightful.com, as you know, we cover all the news, we have 3 times the cost as other wrestling sites too, because we're doing MMA and boxing as well. And we've got to have full-timers, staff, and stuff like that. So Fightful Select is very important to our growth. I can't tell you how important it is. And like I said, I do these all the time, and I will move these to a weekly show once we hit a subscriber goal. Thoughts on Fox wanting DC to be a commentator on Smackdown next year? So the funny thing is I've been bringing this up for well over a year. Ever since I heard Daniel Cormier call John Jones's fight at, I think, 197. He did it so objectively and so good, and it was his first time. I was like, man, he would be a great addition. And he loves wrestling. There are clips, if you search on Fightful's YouTube, where he's miserable in a weight cut, and Brandon Howard brings up WWE, and he just lights up like a Christmas tree. Also, I think Fox should want him to. If they want a more sport presentation, I think that would be a great move. I think they should move away from Tom Phillips, honestly, or say, call it like a sport, not like entertainment, where you're calling every move as, oh, that shit's annoying. What will James Ellsworth's legacy be in wrestling? Making something out of nothing. He and Carmelo are both great at that. If the Elite stays together and no one goes to WWE yet, does that mean Bullet Club will be formed back together again? Nope. Elite has branched off. They're doing their own thing. WrestleMania 35, Brock versus question mark. It depends on if they have his UFC fight by then. UFC's his priority right now. It should be a babyface that they can get over. I just watched NXT, and Nikki Cross versus Mercedes Martinez is awesome. They kick the shit out of each other. Is it me, or has Nikki been more interesting since her shift away from Sanity? Yeah, that was a controversial decision. And I loved Nikki Cross with Sanity, but based on what Nikki Cross has done more than Sanity has. She's involved in a lot of stuff, and I think her around Aleister Black and being in that storyline is great. Mercedes is awesome. Everybody wants a piece of Mercedes. People in Impact are pushing for her to get hired. Nikki Cross is important to NXT right now, and I didn't understand why they were keeping her down there. Now I do, and I'm glad they did. Brock versus DC is loosely set for February, March, isn't it? Daniel Cormier fights in 2 days. Nothing is set for February, March. Truly enjoy all your content. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I know we do a lot of content, and some people say sometimes you do too much content. It doesn't matter. You don't have to watch it all. You get to pick what you want. The thing is, you'll never be able to say that something big isn't covered on Fightful.com. MMA, boxing, wrestling, independent circuit, NXT, outside of WWE, inside WWE, we're covering everything. And we're doing that because we want to show you that we keep our eye on everything. We're not living in a certain company's bubble. We're not giving a certain company favorable coverage. We're covering everything for you. And Fightful Select is a big part of that. And, maybe I'll do another show down the line. The more subscribers we get, the more content we get there, obviously. So I've already spread myself a little thin there, but we're going to bring on some more personalities for Select. That's why I brought on Warren Hayes, because I didn't want it just to be me on Fightful Select. Worst and best evil foreigner stables. The League of Nations was one of the worst. That was one of the worst. One of the best. I didn't like World Elite and TNA either. One of the best, the Hart Foundation, for sure. Easily. If 6-7 years ago I told you we may get AJ versus Joe versus Bryan for the WWE title, no less, would you believe me? Yes, I would. And I'll tell you why. Because 6-7 years ago, we were living in the CM Punk era still. CM Punk with the pipe bomb changed everything. If you told me this 8 years ago, no, I wouldn't have believed it. 6-7 years ago, yes. Street Profits could be something special or just hype. They could be something special. A lot of people are just saying, oh, it's just Montez Ford. Dawkins is good too. I like Dawkins. But I think that he does need Montez. If you could tweak the Wargames main event, who would you include? Let me take a gander at it. Not a big Wargames guy. Not a big one. Spoilers, maybe. Undisputed Era versus Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and War Raiders. Undisputed Era are winning that match. They should anyway. I would involve EC3 in that. But, I mean, he might, I think people might understand he's bigger than Hanson. So that might outshine Hanson a little bit. I like the way it is, honestly. I like Undisputed Era. They need to go over there. They're something very special. Undisputed Era is very special. Hey, guys, leave us a thumbs up if you all don't mind. Also, subscribe. I'll use this time to plug our new Fightful MMA and boxing channel. I started to realize we were posting like 9-10 videos a day, and that can be overwhelming when it's not just wrestling on this channel. So we started a Fightful MMA and boxing channel where our boxing and MMA podcasts will be. I'll be going live there a lot more. Carlos Toro did a podcast this morning. Lots of cool stuff. Please, if you all don't mind, even if you don't subscribe to Fightful Select, even if you don't care about MMA, search Fightful MMA and Boxing on YouTube and click that subscribe button. We can't monetize that channel until we get to 1,000. I'll be very transparent. That's important to us. YouTube monetization is very important to keep us running, as is Fightful Select. But, hey. Warren Hayes is trash. You're trash, Hernandez. Do you think Punk will wrestle in 2019? I do not. Chances of AJ Styles WrestleMania main eventing WrestleMania 35 or 36, I'd say about 5%. You think Punishment Martinez will have a takeover match at maybe Rumble? Also, how do you think he'll do in NXT, and will he be a quick call-up since he is older? I don't know what they want from him. I don't know what – maybe they want him to be a player coach. Maybe they have a big gimmick set for him. Chelsea Green was not an appearance in the crowd. Punishment Martinez was not an appearance in the crowd at TakeOver. I've been told that Punishment Martinez is going to debut at the NXT Live event Friday. Little scoopski for you guys. I don't think he'll have a match at TakeOver in January. I don't. Unless he debuts at TakeOver. Wargames is like some big heater. Maybe. Do you think this is Vince's last WrestleMania as active CEO? I think it could be. He's stepping back more and more. He would love to book a Roman Reigns return, though, wouldn't he? Reminder, guys, I ask every question you guys submit. You can do that by subscribing to FightfulSelect.com. Let me run you all through the perks again. Our first tier, the Future Star tier, just $5 a month. That's $1.25 a week. You get 2 Q&A podcasts a month, a Fightful bumper sticker, retro review shows every month, the Fightful photo gallery, 2 outtake and behind-the-scenes clips every month, a weekly show that covers Lucha Underground, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Being the Elite, NWA content, exclusive news, and an injury report. That's called The Weekender. We have a weekly live NXT 205 Live, NXT UK post show, really whatever content's there in the middle of WWE's week. Mae Young Classic. We have weekly UFC rankings update breakdown video. We have bi-weekly dark match commentary videos. The first one in November, I do dark match commentary over Dean Ambrose's TNA tryout a few years back. Well, more than a few years back, about a decade back. The monthly If It Were a Work, If It Were a Shoot podcast. Who would win WWE matches if they were a shoot? Who would win UFC fights if UFC could work the results? We have monthly alternate fight commentary clips. All the time I'm posting alternate commentary clips as fill-ins or bonus shows. We have monthly back in the day clips where you see Fightful personalities before they were at Fightful. Access to all our members only podcasts as well. Up one spot, the $10 tier, which is probably our most popular tier. You get that goddamn paper mask. I hate it. You get a shout out on a podcast of your choosing, one per subscriber. You get an e-copy of Jimmy Van's book, From Bingo Halls to Shopping Malls, where he talks about promoting wrestling, his life in wrestling. Early access to stuff like interviews, features, Wikipedia fact check, making a finisher, lots of our videos. Constantly giving early access to that. You get the Fightful Wrestling Weekly days before anybody else, so you get a lot of exclusive news there. Weekly Stupid People extended segments. Jimmy Van's match archives. You get footage monthly. Me and Jimmy Van calling the matches. A little insight into the ring. A little insight into promoting wrestling at that time. Matches from guys like Mikey Whipwreck, Eric Young, Bobby Roode, Angelina Love. A lot of people came through there. Nova came through there, who became Simon Dean. Some real hidden gems there. A lot of people who got looks by WWE as well. You get Russo Reveals twice a month. You'll get a short clip, about 3 to 5 minutes. Me and Vince Russo talking, like we'll talk about his experiences with Big Boss Man and draws. I ask him things that have not been asked before. We'll ask him just about random things in wrestling. There's always great chemistry with me and Vince. You can also submit questions that may be used for interviews. Stay on 6 months, you get a Fightful shirt of your choosing. We have a higher level tier, the champion tier, $50 a month. Also rather popular. Way more people sign up for that than I expected. Every month, you get your choice. You can guest star on a podcast. You can pick a retro review. You can pick a column that we can write, or you can pick a retro or a alternate commentary match that I will focus on. I notice a lot of people like picking the alternate commentary match because that means I focus about 20, 25 minutes on one particular match as opposed to 5 or 10 on a retro review. You can also save up those rewards. If you save up 2 months, you can guest star on the podcast of your choosing. Maybe there's a match you wanted. For example, quite frankly, I don't cover a lot of Benoit matches. Our subscribers know that. One person loved the Jericho-Benoit ladder match so much, they asked me to cover that. I did. If I'm asked to, I will. But you can save that up. You can appear on that alternate commentary. You can appear on that retro review. You get a Fightful mug sent to you. Also, every month you get a sponsorship slot. I had a guy who literally used his sponsorship spot to put over that he beat me in fantasy football. Son of a bitch. If you all like this show, please let the world know about it, and please check out FightfulSelect.com. This is essentially a free commercial for FightfulSelect.com. So any support you all can provide to that, much appreciated, guys. I try to hit you guys with a free piece of content from Fightful Select a month. If you're still on the fence, go to our playlist on youtube.com/Fightful. We have a bunch of it. We have dark match commentary matches for free up there. We have some of Warren's matches up there. A retro review from TNA Unbreakable 05 up there. Thanks, guys. Until next time, we're out.